And a very good Monday evening. Welcome into Time Out here on TVNB. In the next 30 minutes, some of the topics we'll be discussing. The cry of hurry hard is heard ringing through the rafters at Harbor Station. The Big E is out for the rest of the regular season. And the St. John Flames have themselves a real decent road trip. All that and a whole lot more coming up, so don't go far. And a very good Monday evening. Welcome into Time Out here on TVNB. Jim Hennessy alongside Bruce McDonald. Bruce, thanks for coming in this week.
Morning, Jim.
And of course, a little hard to get into the swing of things, so to speak, with Major League Baseball kicking out this season. What about the snow on Sunday morning?
I woke up this morning, couldn't believe when I saw that. So went about my business anyhow, and here we are.
Yeah, old man winter taking one more bite out of us, but I don't think it'll stick around too long. Anyway, let's get right to it. Of course, first on our plate has to be the Ford World Curling Championships that kicked off last Friday night with the opening ceremonies. Beautiful ceremony down there. John Travis and his entire crew have to be congratulated on the job they did. And curling is underway. Stoughton, when we came in to tape the show, was 2-0. Colleen Jones, 2-0. So it looks like Canada is off to a blazing start.
Yeah, it's no surprise really to see the two Canadian teams off to good starts. They both should be there come playoff time. On the women's side, I would have to think the Team Sweden, Gustafsson, might give Colleen Jones a go, as well as Dorby Nordby from Norway. On the men's side, I think it's wide open. I don't recognize too many of the names there, to be honest. A lot of young teams. Once again, Stoughton should be there, and who he comes up against is anyone's guess right now.
Yeah, I think the men's field is much more wide open, with the exception of Stoughton, than the women's side. No question about that. It's just that this bodes so well for the city. I mean, when you have a major event like this, I had a chance to walk around uptown Saturday, drop down to the rink, caught the end of Stoughton's match when he opened up on Saturday afternoon, and the atmosphere is incredible. Personally, I didn't really think there were that many curling fans here living in the city, but walking around, talking to people, shops in the uptown. They've got the brooms and the rocks in the window, and welcome curlers. It's nice to have you here in St. John. Everybody being extremely friendly. The pedway into Harbor Station, all lit up with, welcome Ford World Curlers. Great to have you here. This bodes well for the city. TSN is here. A lot of national media coverage is here, and so far, so good. Our city is going to be on display for the next 7 days, and we look really good.
Yeah, that's right, Jim. And the bottom line is, if we had Harbor Station built 20 years ago, something like this event would have happened long ago.
No question.
It's well overdue, as you're aware. But the city's done great again. The organizing committee's done great putting this together. The Harbor Station looks fantastic, and the crowds have been good in the early draws so far.
Fantastic, yeah. John Travis, when we spoke to him, he said that they would like to have between 3,000 and 4,000 per draw, and so far those numbers have been there. And of course, if Colleen Jones gets into the final this coming weekend, I'm sure the highway from between Halifax and here will be extremely busy Friday and Saturday with a good crowd coming in, so that's always good to see. And we have to give a big round of applause to the 1,000 of volunteers that came out for the 9 days. A lot of people took their vacation around the Ford World Curling Championships. You've seen all the yellow and blue jackets, people walking around with them on. They are the volunteers. So the next time you see one, if you're down at the rink with a draw, go over, shake somebody's hand and say, thanks very much, you're doing a great job.
Exactly right. It's kind of funny, you see the World Championships happening and hosting in other countries. You don't see this kind of backup and coverage. I mean, they're in a large rink over in Sweden or Switzerland or somewhere, and it's always half empty or three-quarters empty. You don't see the emotion involved like you do in Canada here, and the way we put it on. Basically, curling's our game, no matter what you say, and hockey's our game, curling's our game. And if we win or lose, it's still our game.
Absolutely. So. And it's good to see the people coming out, for the draws, because there was a lot of skepticism, I guess, would be the right word, that, if Colleen's not playing or if Jeff Stoughton's not playing, how many people are they going to get down there to the rink? But yesterday afternoon, it was proof positive that there are a lot of curling fans, and whether Colleen's on the ice or Jeff Stoughton's on the ice, they want to get down there and check out some of the action, which bodes well and makes the city look well. And it's our 9 days to shine, so hopefully we'll take full advantage of it. Hopefully the weather will clear up a little bit too, so the curlers can get around and check out our city. Let's move the page now to back to, well, still on the ice, but to a different ice surface. St. John Flames with a real good week. Wrapped up their home stand before the curling did come to town. 3-game winning streak, won on the road, first 2 games, built it up to a 5-game winning streak, had a setback against the Rochester Americans, 3-1 last Friday night, rebound real well Saturday night, a rough and tumble game against the Adirondack Red Wings, but Jean-Sébastien Giguère definitely seems to be back on his game of 4-0. That's his 3rd shutout of the season, so it looks like he might be finally finding his niche once again.
Yeah, I think now that Tyler Moss is gone to Orlando, Giguère knows it's his job the rest of the year, and the team will go as far as he takes them. I really feel that, I've said this before, that we can beat anybody in the Atlantic Division right now, especially when we get a few more recruits down from Calgary. I was looking on the web, on the net the other night, and Eric Landry and Lee Sorkin were not dressed for Calgary, and they weren't scratches. No. So I'd like to know where they are. Maybe you can answer that.
I don't know where they are, but, you know, I mean, I don't know why Landry is taking the most abuse here. And I mean, when I say abuse, it's not physical, mental. I mean, you know, he comes down here, tries to get back with his wingers and feel comfortable. Then all of a sudden Calgary calls, pulls him back up, you know, to the big club. And then he's not seeing any action. You know, they keep him up there for a week, week and a half. Then all of a sudden, well, Eric, you know, thanks for coming out. We're going to ship you back down to St. John. And mentally, that is extremely tough on a player.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Don McKelly did get a lot of ice time.
Had a goal Saturday night.
Scored a goal Saturday night. And Wade Belak played quite a bit. Trying to think of the other fellow, Eric Sharon played. So, you know, once we can get those guys back, once Calgary gets healthy again, we can really make a run at the Atlantic Division. I really believe Fredericton's the only team that can handle us if the Flames play the way they can. Sure. That's the key, of course. After that, it's going to be tough. If you come up against a team like Providence in the semifinals, that will be very interesting.
Providence, huge improvement from last year, from worst to first, no question about it. But it's good to see the Flames making this late charge. I mean, you don't want to see them, you know, waste it all now before the first round of the playoffs gets underway. But, I mean, they're making a serious drive to overtake Fredericton for 3rd place in the Atlantic Division right now.
They could easily right now pass Fredericton and maybe St. John's. Their last 6 games of the year, they played 2 against Fredericton, 2 against Lowell, and 2 against Newfoundland. So it's theirs for the taking right now. No question. It'd be interesting to see coming down the stretch how they make out. Let's move over to the NHL. Big news if you're a Philadelphia Flyers fan. Some sad news, actually. The Big E, Eric Lindros, will be out for the remainder of the regular season. They're saying now it could be the first round of the playoffs, depending on who they end up playing in. All that shuffling with the last couple of weeks of the regular season still to be decided. A collapsed lung last week in Nashville, and I guess I have the advantage because I'm going to marry a nurse. So when we found out the news, I was talking to her about it, and I said, geez, that sounds, you know, quite serious. And she said that if he hadn't have been, or if he wasn't in the shape that he is, you know, he went back to his hotel, was in a little bit of discomfort and pain, he went to bed, and the blood was seeping into his lung. She said that if he wasn't in the shape that he is, he easily, you know, easily could have passed away. Really? So this is lots more serious than, you know, people are, I guess, then the Flyers want to blow this out of proportion. They don't want to panic anybody, but, I mean, a definite serious injury. Well, that reminds me, the last time I heard of a collapsed lung was Julian Austin, the country singer out there, riding a bull, and he had a punctured lung, collapsed lung, and some other injuries. So it is very serious. You know, you have a hockey player, especially playing the style he does, coming back from that. I mean, he's going to have to be 100% healthy. Can I change my prediction now? Philadelphia win the cup? No, okay. No. We got you on tape. It's too late now. No, but I mean, this is a legitimate concern. I mean, for the Flyers, for Bobby Clark and Captain Video, they're sitting back. I don't think Roger Nielsen is the coach that everybody thinks he is. I mean, he's got that title, Captain Video. You know, yeah, go play a Nintendo game, Roger. Yeah, good to see you. But I think that Philadelphia's got some definite concerns coming into the playoffs here. Their goaltending has been extremely shaky ever since after the All-Star break. Jean Leclerc can't handle the load himself. A great player, no question about it. It pains me because he was a former Hab and he couldn't put the puck in the net when he was playing for Montreal. But that's a different story altogether. You know, so you wonder if Eric is out for the first round of the playoff, is it deja vu all over again for Philadelphia? They come out of the gate, great expectations, you know. A lot of jobs are sitting on the line in Philadelphia right now. Well, you know, and the first round of the playoffs, no matter where you finish in the standings, is still going to be a tough series of hockey games. I think if Lindros is in there, they could easily go in the first round. Sure. I mean, I don't want to see that happen, but it could very well. I mean, like you say, Leclerc needs Lindros to score.
Desjardins out.
Desjardins out. Van Beesbroek hasn't been doing the job lately. Maybe his age is starting to creep up on him. Who knows? Hextall's obviously not the answer in that. So
no. Hextall's not their man. I mean, he's not the man to take them to the Cup. He did, but that was back, when was that, 87?
Yeah, I believe so.
87.
Yeah.
And I mean, you know, Ron did play well. He was the only man who won the Conn Smythe on a losing team. But, you know, he's not the goaltender he was. I mean, he's still a good goaltender, but, you know, he's not the goaltender he was 12 years ago. So it's going to be interesting to see. You know, the trading deadline has passed now. You know, there's no more player pickups for them. They've got to go with what they've got right now. So it'll be interesting to see how Captain Video and Bobby Clarke handle this situation in Philadelphia.
That's right. I guess New Jersey's probably playing better than anyone in the East right now. I'm still not on Ottawa's bandwagon. I don't know. I just have a hard time thinking that team can go.
They're my pick.
I know, but I have a hard time thinking they can go all the way from where they came 2 years ago.
Why couldn't they?
Well, they've got the players for sure.
They've got the players. They've got the goaltending, which I think is the biggest surprise if you're a hockey fan.
I don't think they have the goaltending.
What do you mean they don't have the goaltending?
I mean, Ron Tugnut, he's an AHL goaltender.
Well, he's been shutting out NHL teams pretty good all year.
Damian Rhodes is a Toronto backup.
Well, I don't know. I have to disagree with you on that one. Because, I mean, you look at nobody. And I don't think there was anybody. I mean, I read, you know, all the magazines when the season started, and all the newspapers that said, you know, Ottawa, if they creep in there and get that 8th and final spot, they'll be lucky.
That's right.
They're leading the pack. Well, East and, you know, except for Dallas. I mean, they are definitely leading the pack. They look good so far.
It's shocking, and I have a theory for the whole thing. I think actually that's the Montreal Canadiens playing in Ottawa this year. They've moved 2 hours down the road.
Yeah, I wish they were.
Ottawa's up in Montreal.
Yeah, right. I wish they were the Montreal Canadiens. Anyway, we're just getting started. We hope you stick around. We've got more to talk about, and we'll be right back after this.
It's not Carnegie Hall or the Apollo, but then again, who would want it to be? One large entertainment serving of music, comedy, and down-home laughter. Friday nights at 11 on Channel 10 TVNB. Thinking of venturing into the hospitality sector? Find out why marketing is everything for your tourism service. A welcoming sight Thursdays at 9:30 or Sundays at 5:30 on Marketing is Everything, exclusively on Channel 10 TVNB.
You know the story, when the RCAF said Mach 2 fighter, 2-place 1,000-mile range, the British said it was impossible. The Yanks tried twice and failed. They said, you're dreaming. We said, fine, we'll build it right here in Toronto. And now you guys, my guys, are saying that it can't be done, that they were right?
Now that's the rocket that we used to get the model up to speed, and then the onboard sensor tells me... Come on, baby. did it according to your specs. The specs have changed.
We did it.
Arrow 201. You cleared for takeoff.
We did it!
Although the government canceled the project and destroyed the prototypes, the Avro Arrow remains for Canada a world benchmark in aerospace achievement.
And welcome back into the second half of Time Out. Nice to have you tuned in. Hope your Monday evening is going well. We had a chance a couple of weeks ago to sit down with General Manager of the AQ Ice Bears, Steve Bear, as they continue to try to get the senior circuit back on its blades and up and running for the fall. And here's what Steve had to say. Have you a chance to sit down and talk to the General Manager of the AQ Ice Bears, Steve Bear. Thanks, Steve. Appreciate the time.
Thanks, Jim.
Let's give us a little update. Of course, the Senior Hockey League went into a year of hiatus this past hockey season. What are we looking for in the upcoming season?
Well, I think things are looking brighter as spring comes closer here. That with the Fredericton Canadians moving, there's some talk up there now that things are going to happen. We've opened some doors up there. There's no performance bond signed or anything yet, but I'm feeling confident that we're going to have that Highway 7 rivalry in senior hockey. With Fredericton returning, and I see Capellet signed on now with us, so we have them in, and there's interest in the island again. So
perfect. What do you guys need to turn a profit here? How many teams do you need in this league?
Well, I mean, obviously 4 makes it happen, but 5 makes it very secure, and I'm looking at 5.
So you sat down, I mean, you've been to most of the league meetings in the off season, and even when supposedly the season was supposed to be happening. What's the word? I mean, are they confident that senior hockey can make a go of it, or is this just kind of, well, it's a trial and error thing, we'll see how it goes? Well,
I guess you're never 100% sure in March because people don't like to make big commitments at that point, but I would say things are looking a lot stronger than they were at this time last year.
And of course, we talk about, I mean, it's been well documented. I mean, you guys are fighting the uphill battle right from the go. The Ice Bears, I should say, you know, unfortunately, your gear, where you were storing it for the winter, it got burned down, and, you know, you've got to start all over trying to get some new bodies in the lineup, making sure that the cash flow is there. So how are things to this point?
Well, I mean, this dinner with Shaq is really the first big event of many more to come for us if we're going to exist. With what we built last year and what we had the base of a pretty good hockey team forming, and our gear and everything and all that stuff out of the way, but we're back to square one, and that's why we're starting in March.
What do you, I mean, obviously you're going to play out of the LBR. Have you sat down and have you had any discussion with the Flames management as to trying to work out a schedule so they don't conflict? Or?
Definitely. We would never let our schedule happen until the Flames schedule is done. As we showed last year, there's lots of room for professional hockey in St. John, which is very important to the city's economy and Harbor Station, and when the Flames are away, I think we're a good alternative. That people always got entertainment in the winter months.
No question. How many people do you need at the rink every night at the home game?
There's no question we need in the area of no less than 700, and with less than 700 it becomes financially pretty tough.
Sure. What are you looking at for season ticket packs? Like someone sitting out there tonight going, yeah, I love senior hockey. What's the price tag on this?
We're probably looking at $100 for 15 games. For a season ticket, you're probably going to look at $7 a ticket per game. So it's a pretty good deal, I would think, for 2.5, 3 hours entertainment every night for $7.
No question. Now, of course, everybody a little bit sad as well that Fredericton is pulling out on the AHL side, but like you said earlier, that, you know, it's looking like this could come to fruition, that Fredericton could have a senior hockey team. How much interest is there? Like, I mean, I know it's hard to say 100%, but how close are you to that 100%?
I would say that things are coming together fairly well. They have the 2 universities there, which gives them a great base of players and young players that come in from out of town and everything for them, so that they have that feeder system. Besides all the local guys they have there, really they're in better shape to draw players in St. John because of that. The thing that we're really excited about Fredericton being there is it gives us that rivalry that fans love to see. I mean, we had a good one with Miramichi, but Fredericton automatically happens. And,
no question.
It also gives fans some games during the weekdays instead of just weekend competition all the time.
It's not that long of a drive up time.
Yeah. So it's, with them and Capellet, it's either way we can play some games on a Tuesday night or a Thursday night during the week sometimes.
And for the Ice Bear fans sitting out there tonight watching this, how many other returning faces can they expect to see in the lineup next year?
I would say in the area of anywhere from 7 to 9 guys, by the looks of it. We've had some local guys that have gone out and played in the Lancaster Centennial League this year, and they've done a a good job up there, and hopefully we can get them back to the senior ranks where they're playing at a level that they should be playing at. But thank God that's the leagues there, that the guys that were at least able to play contact hockey and stay involved. Yeah.
Goaltending's always a tough situation to try to fill because you try to get that #1 guy, but you want to keep the man on the bench fresh as well. Who are you looking at right now? A couple of names?
I think we have to look at Troy McGuire. He's been tossed around the East Coast League and the AHL as a backup for quite a bit here, but he had a good career at St. Thomas University. I coached Troy years ago, way back in Pee Wee, and we would definitely like to have him out next year. And there's the Mike Bonds and the Rick Poiriers and guys that were there last year that certainly would be in the goaltending ranks.
No question. Looking forward to it. You'll keep us posted?
Looking forward to it, too.
Fabulous. Thanks, man.
Thanks.
Appreciate it. That's AQ Ice Bears General Manager Steve Bear sitting down to chat with us a few weeks ago when Eddie Shack was in town for the charity auction that they held to try to raise some funds to get some of that gear back that they lost in that horrific fire last off-season. You know, the season got done, they had a hard-fought series against Miramichi, they put the gear away, and then the next thing you know, fire, and they lost all their gear. So trying to get back on the blades and get things up and running, and Steve was very optimistic. When a league shuts down for a year, there's always question marks and concerns. Can we get back? Will the fans still come out? Have they forgotten about us? Because as the old adage goes, out of sight, out of mind. But I really think they've got a legitimate shot here. Like he said, you know, the Flames don't cut their grass and they don't try to cut theirs. They're going to sit down, try to work out a schedule. When the Flames are on the road, the Ice Bears will be at home and vice versa. They play a 30-game schedule, 15 games, of course, at home, 15 on the road. For a season package, Steve said they're looking at somewhere between $65, $70, you know, for the average person who feels that it's too expensive to go to any other league and pay for a season ticket. That's right up anybody's alley, I would think.
I agree, and I enjoy senior hockey as well as anyone else does. And you think back when the Vitas won the Allen Cup there, the place was full, and
we were watching the video footage before we get started.
And the LBR hasn't had too many crowds like that lately. I think it's really hurt the St. John's senior team, though. The year before last was their first year in the league. They were just building, starting to get some players lined up, and the year ended quickly for them. And then all of a sudden, like you say, they lose all their equipment, which was a big blow.
Sure.
But the bigger blow is that year off, I think, with them. But I think if they come back this year and start from scratch again, have maybe, hopefully, a team from Fredericton in.
Be nice.
Miramichi really is looking to get their hockey back again. Maybe like they're saying a couple teams, maybe from PEI, and they're looking at Nova Scotia. So we have a true maritime senior league again. What they have to avoid is spend the big money and turn it into a semi-pro league again.
That's what Steve said. He said, you know, the ideal situation would be to have 4 teams. If we have any more than 4, it's gravy after that, you know, which is perfect because, I mean, I think they've got a legitimate shot at getting 4 themselves, Miramichi, and those 2 on the island. They'd like to get a team in Nova Scotia. They'd certainly love to have a team in Fredericton. That would be an ideal situation, but it's the waiting game. We'll have to wait around and see, but Steve's very optimistic, and I know that you're optimistic about it, and so am I, and the rest of the senior hockey fans around the city, so we'll have to wait and see, but keep the thumbs up and the faith. It's looking pretty good right now. Let's flip the page to high school hockey. I know that's close to your heart, but a little bit of controversy as the season wraps up for the City and District Championship, and I get my feathers up in a ruffle about this one. St. Max and St. John High go to 7 games, great series, back and forth all the way. High school comes out on top of that one. They were supposed to play KV for the City and District Championship, but slap on the brakes. All of a sudden, St. John High's head coach, Connie Dow, says, we need at least 3 or 4 days off to get rested before we go into this series. And then, of course, getting this late into the season, you have the problems worrying about, is there going to be any ice time? Because most of the rinks are ready to take the ice out. Give us the behind the scenes. What happened with this whole thing?
Well, let's just go back a few weeks when St. John High, St. Max, and Simons all missed the playoffs in the Southwest Hockey League. At that point, Roy Marr, the stand-in president right now, suggested these 3 teams play off so the kids can play hockey into April, or close to April. That was the only reason behind it. Otherwise, they were done in early March, okay? At that time, they all agreed that if KV lost out in the first round of the Southwest League playoffs, which they did, that the winner of this triple round robin would play KV. Now we'll go back in the beginning. Simons had their nose up in the air for some reason. They didn't want to play anymore. They bailed after a week. Okay, fine. They decided to make it a best of 7 between St. John High and St. Max. There was nothing but trouble throughout that series, crying and going on about ice time, this and that. But mainly St. John High, I'll have to admit. I mean, I almost got the impression they didn't want to play from the beginning, to be honest. They were talking throughout the series, we're not going to play KV if we win, we're not going to play them. St. Max, I don't know what their thoughts were. Okay,
I mean, I don't mean to cut you off here, but I mean, these are the defending City and District High School champions. There's a lot of pride on the line. I know there was a lot of returning players from that championship team last year who were into their last year of eligibility to play high school hockey. Now all of a sudden you've got the head coach going on record with, we'll make mention of it, Barrett Hooper, the sports writer for the Telegraph-Journal and Evening Times Globe. He goes on record with Hooper. By the way, we wanted to have Barrett in the studio this week, but he had other commitments, so hopefully we'll get him in next week. Anyway, getting on with the story, he told Hooper that he wanted at least 3 or 4 days off before they started the series with KV. Now, ice time permitting, the city said, no, there's no way we can do this. We've got to get this ice out of here. Fall hockey season starting at the LBR soon. Make up your mind. You're either going to fish or cut bait. He cut bait, took off. So my question is here, from a league standpoint, is there going to be any repercussion on Glennie Dow or on the St. John High School team for refusing to play for the City and District Championship? Who's crowned? Who wins the championship? Does KV win it by default? Does nobody win it? Does it go down as a season in the league that no champion was crowned?
Well, our executive, of which I must state that I'm not a member of the executive for the Southwest. As you're aware, I'm with the Southern Conference, but the President, Roy Marr, and the Vice President, Doug McDonald, are just fed up with everything that's gone on for this point. They stepped in of the goodness of their heart, to be honest. They had no one else to take over this situation. They said they would run it at the end of the year, and all this stuff has gone on. and you know, basically right now I have a trophy sitting in my living room of my house, which is a City and District champion, or it used to be for our AAA champion from the Southern Conference.
Sure.
We're just ready to give that to KV now. It's their trophy if they want it. Come on in, people.
Well, if they don't want it, we'll bring it in here. I think it'll look pretty good in the studio.
But I don't know what Roy or anyone can do to St. John High for refusing to play. I mean, I don't know if there's anything in the rule book stating that you can suspend a team or a coach for refusing to play a series that really maybe shouldn't have happened. You know what I'm saying? The whole deal maybe shouldn't have happened.
As soon as I started reading about it, went down to one of the guys, I just, you know, but anyway, we're out of time. I can't believe it. 30 minutes is up. Thanks very much for coming in. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Jim.
All right, and thank you for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. And don't forget, we'll be back next Monday at 6 o'clock. So we hope you come back and join us. Have yourself a great week, and we'll talk to you next Monday.